Since the dawn of time, mankind has wished for the liberty to fly with the birds. FlightStar, by Pioneer International Aircraft, has made your wish a reality. Liberty, in flight from the chains of Earth. Receiving special permission, the unique FlightStar drew wide attention in this New York area flight.
This is the 5 o'clock Eyewitness News with Storm Field and Kaidi Tong for Roseanne Scamardella, plus Spencer Christian, Consumer Counselor Phyllis Eliasberg, and the Eyewitness News team.
You might have seen something unusual in the sky today. You wouldn't, you don't look up, but chances are that what you saw is a new aircraft, unlike any you've ever seen before. Mara Walensky tells us what makes this aircraft so special.
They say it's the fastest growing sport in America these days, and all over the country, these ultralight one-man planes are soaring through the skies. Until recently, most ultralight aircrafts were made at home. That meant they weren't the safest things to fly. But then Pioneer Systems, makers of the parachutes that the space shuttle uses, came in and decided to make some pretty sophisticated changes. In the last 10 years, general aviation has declined due to the high cost of flying, costs that have risen above the financial capabilities of most of this nation's 700,000 licensed pilots. But production of these ultralight planes has risen. In 1981, over 10,000 of these little babies were sold with price tags that range from $3,000 to $7,000. And because you don't need a pilot's license to operate one, many people are now rushing out to buy one.
It's a lot of fun. There's really nothing like it. The view is really incredible. As you can see, it's a rather open-air cockpit, and the visual effect is really great.
It's solitary and very high feeling. It's like being a bird.
Pioneer Systems FlightStar is designed with a unique safety feature. If anything should happen while they're up in the air, like a mid-air collision or an engine that stops, the pilot only has to reach up and pull on this red handle. 1.5 seconds later, he will have a fully deployed parachute above him, and if he's flying 200 feet above the ground, he'll be able to save himself and his ultralight aircraft.
Now that's what I think is a right idea.
Pioneer International Aircraft stands alone in ultralight aviation. This major stock exchange listed corporation has an impressive list of successes in aviation and aerospace efforts. Designing, engineering, and building the hardware and complete recovery systems for many NASA projects. From the Gemini space capsule to the space shuttle. Pilot recovery systems, such as the B-1 bomber crew capsule, demonstrated here in a ground test at Edwards Air Force Base. A vast array of aviation accomplishments. The same expertise and experience has been applied to numerous recreational products as well. Pioneer has long been a leader in recreational sport parachuting. Pioneer's FlightStar brings a new era to recreational ultralight aviation, featuring aerodynamically clean strut brace design. As in all Pioneer projects, an in-depth program of non-destructive and destructive testing was undertaken. This testing of each component of the FlightStar for structural integrity underscores the commitment to safety and performance that Pioneer International Aircraft has brought to the world of ultralight aviation. This destructive test with sandbags was used to validate the design goals of +6 and -4 G's ultimate load strength of the FlightStar, design goals that were proven to be exceeded. After the destructive testing, each part of the FlightStar was evaluated in minute detail by Jim Reuter, chief of our 22-man engineering department. The most demanding test of all was performed in the skies near our California plant. A combination test of ballistic parachute recovery system, coupled with deliberately induced spins, pendulum oscillation, and dive speed. The greatest test of the FlightStar where it counts most, in flight. In 1.5 seconds, the giant 29-foot parachute is deployed. The test pilot induces spin and the pendulum effect. The parachute bridle attachment point was deliberately mounted behind its normal location to achieve a nose-down dive attitude, as the parachute bridle is blown off with a special explosive charge. Pulling out of the dive at speeds well in excess of 80 miles an hour, the FlightStar leisurely heads back to the airfield in perfect condition. Pioneer and their professional FlightStar dealers want you to be able to enjoy your recreational flying to the fullest. Dual Star is our two-seat trainer. After completing basic ground school, your instructor will give you hands-on experience in flight. From taxiing, gentle liftoffs, through your first solo flight, assuring you of proficiency in all aspects of the FlightStar. Though out of the mists of mankind's dreams, the reality of safe and simple recreational flying at its best has arrived. FlightStar. After a thorough pre-flight, you are ready. Watch with us now and see the FlightStar's capabilities. FlightStar, with performance capabilities, handling characteristics, and strength that other ultralight manufacturers can only wish for. You've now seen the best in ultralight aviation. Pioneer International Aircraft, FlightStar, and you. Be up there with number one.
Most people probably think those little one-seater planes with open cockpits went out with the Wright brothers, but they're making a comeback in a new form. Our squeamish technology editor, Sharon McAuliffe, reports from the ground on ultralights, one of the fastest-growing areas in consumer aviation.
Ultralights. They've been called flying bicycles and go-karts with wings. These one-seater planes, made from aluminum tubing and sailcloth, are considered the ultimate flying experience. Manufacturers claim proudly that they've set back aviation a full 75 years.
Those magnificent men in their flying machine, they go up to the up, they go down to the down. They control the ladies and steal the scene with their up to the up, and their down to the down.
More than 8,000 ultralights were sold last year, and analysts believe this number will go up at least 50% by the end of '83. These small planes aren't just good fun, they're good business. Over the next few years, ultralight flying is expected to become a substantial consumer industry. The reason is simple. Ultralights are easy and inexpensive to learn to fly. It costs somewhere between $3,500 and $8,000 to buy the basic machine, then only $4 an hour to operate. Last year, the Federal Aviation Administration began to regulate the size and speed of these craft, but deemed ultralight flying a sport and held back from making pilot lessons a formal requirement. With a few hours at the instrument panel, most people are ready to take off.
There's 3 controls as far as flying it, and then you have the throttle right here, which is your power. And that's it. So basically 4 things.
Are they safe? New features like this ballistic parachute can bail pilots out, but 48 fatalities were reported last year. Proponents, however, argue that this figure is low in comparison to the number of hours flown, about half the rate for small conventional craft. More than 50 manufacturers are now producing some $60 million worth of ultralight equipment each year. Large dealer networks are considered key to survival, and companies strong in this area currently dominate the industry. One recent entry, however, is considered a strong contender. Pioneer Systems, a well-known parachute maker, is soon expected to capture 20% of the total ultralight market. Ultralights are all sold like this in kit form. Enthusiasts actually put their own planes together.
It's like assembling a sled or a wagon, you know, on Christmas Eve. It just has more parts and takes longer, and you have to be more careful. We've had people tell us that they have assembled it in 17 hours. We've had other people tell us that it took 40 hours. I think it depends on how nimble you are at that sort of thing.
What is it like up there in an ultralight?
Well, I always say it's like being in a roller coaster, only you're at the controls. You can do whatever you want. You can roll over, you can go up, down, you can do anything you want at any time you want. So it's very similar to being on a roller coaster. You get the same feeling of positive and negative gravitational forces on your body. You can be pulled out of the seat or pushed down into the seat. If you get up high enough, you can start to see the curves of the Earth. It's like you're on top of the world looking down at the big globe. It's really a spectacular sight.